So, it's Tony at Camp K9 and we're out in the garden. This was my tomato bed this year and it unfortunately got taken by blight. There's a couple of plants that are just struggling through the last bit now. May or may not produce anything, I'm not sure, but all of these plants here I unfortunately had to get rid of. So rather than waste this spot, there is nothing like a freshly tilled, just very, very lightly surface for planting in, and we are going to cover this, basically putting in a cover crop for the winter. So if we're lucky, we'll get some harvesting out of it, because some of it is going to be radishes that hopefully will be up and ready to eat before too long, and the others are going to be some onions to see us through into the new year. I am well aware that the lighting on this film is not brilliant, and also Sunday mornings is not the best day to be recording, because we have the gun club over at the farm opposite the road, which is what you can hear the banging every now and then. Anyway, I'm going to proceed, and I won't video all of this, but I'll just show you. So I've lightly gone over the surface so it's nice and easy to work. Remove the odd little weed that's been in there. I'm using a bamboo cane as a straight line and a pencil, basically. Nothing like using stuff that's at hand. And I am just literally putting in little holes. Now, these are going to be primarily spring onions, but I have left some of my spring onions. I bought the bulbous type, these here, and these ones here, can you see? Because you can leave them in and let them grow into bigger round onions. So I'm spacing these to give them plenty of room to grow, but also so that I can thin them out, taking spring onions in the spring and leaving some in there to grow into bigger onions later in the season. Now, we all know the struggle there are with some seeds, and some seeds are absolutely tiny, but when you first start doing this you think, oh my god, these are tiny, I just want to sprinkle them all in a row. But when you get used to, can you see that? I don't know. When you get used to the size of seeds, then you'll be aware that actually these are quite nice sized seeds. Like the radish, you can pretty much manage easily to place one in a hole. Now, there are a couple where I've got a couple going in, but that's fine, because we can pinch those and thin them out. Now, it's always a good idea to plant a cover crop for your winter. It takes care of your ground during the winter months. You don't have to worry about weeding, because they will cover the ground, and where the ground's covered, nature won't want to cover it itself. So if you can cover it with something that is useful for you, then brilliant, all the benefit. And you'll get an early harvest of something, which is wonderful. In addition to that, putting radishes into the ground will break up that ground for you, so it will keep it nice and tilled without you actually having to do the work yourself. It will keep it aerated, and it will add to the nutrients of the soil. Right, I'm going to do a few more of those. You don't need to watch me for that. I'm sure you'd find it totally boring. and I'll come back to you in a moment. So I've now put all my spring onion seeds into the ground. I was using the bamboo cane as a spacer as well as a straight line. I've put, I don't know if you can see, there's a white marker back there and here, and another one's just here and at the other end as well. That's just because these are going to take a little while to come up, and I don't want to forget where they are, just in case I do something else or I'm expecting something and it doesn't come up, and then I know I can go in and try something else. Now, I said earlier on that I'd tilled the top of it. I didn't really mean, because we're kind of a no-dig, no-till garden here. So what I did was I literally just loosened up the top layer of the soil. And that is because after I've made my holes, what I want to be able to do is just gently roll over that top layer so that it covers the holes. I'm not looking to find some more material from somewhere else and put it on top of there. This is an easy, these beds got amended at the beginning of the year. They had some fresh compost put on them. So we are literally just loosening the topsoil and adding, filling in the holes using that. So those are my spring onions, and around my spring onions, so they've gone, this is actually, you probably can't tell from the video, but this is one of my boat beds. So I got donated a couple of boats, and because they had holes in them and they weren't going to go on the water, and I've filled them with soil, and this is the third year that they're in practice. They are beginning to rot. They probably could have done with being sealed properly from the inside. But they're still holding their own at the moment, which is absolutely wonderful. They are quite a little feature in my garden. So down the middle of the boat, down the length of the boat, I'm hoping to have some spring onions come up now. And around those, in all the space that I have remaining, I will be using the same method to plant my radishes. And this time I'm going to have a go at the muhly and icicle long radishes in this bed, and in the other bed I'm going to stick to my normal French breakfast and the round ones. I couldn't get the same round ones, purple round ones, as I did before, so these are slightly different species, so it will be interesting to see what they taste like, because the others were quite hot. Okay, right. Now, if you thought the spring onions were fairly easy to do, then these radish are even easier. Again, the light is awful in here. I don't know if you can see that. They are an orangey colour, so they are going to be really obvious on the earth. Sorry, just getting my cushion. The spring onion ones were black, so if I dropped one, it was not easy to see, but oops. I had such success sowing one per hole in the spring that even though you can multi-seed these, I would say it is worth the effort of sowing direct and putting one seed per hole, because I had some beautiful sized radish in the spring. I was amazed at the size that I got. And doing it in the spring also meant that when I was pulling them up, because I was pulling them up from a no-tilled area, but I had covered it with compost. So it had the initial bit of soil that it was in was so lovely and light. I lost my line. It was so lovely and light that they just pulled out so incredibly easy, and they broke up the soil beneath them. Oops, two running there. Ready for the tomatoes that were going in after them. It was a very easy plant this spring, I have to say. And I looked at my other beds that I had. I'm wobbling on this cushion. Let me just move this cushion. I looked at my other beds that I hadn't put radish in, and I was actually thinking, without a doubt, I will put radish in every single one of my beds this year, either as a cover crop or as a means of tilling and, well, shouldn't use the word tilling really, should we? Preparing the soil, making the soil easier to plant in afterwards. So the boat isn't straight. So when it's come to this bit in this plant here, I have actually kind of got holes dotted all over the place. Also, I'm planting these under existing beans, peppers, tomatoes. So it's wherever I can find a spot, really. Okay, so that's that section done, and I've still got a few more. So I am going to continue down and finish this area here with these. I'll just run my marker down because I don't want to disrupt those spring onions I've just planted. And I'll see you when I've completed them. So I have now planted all of this side here in amongst those tomatoes as well, and all the way up to the very top with the radish moulet, which is a long white, quite large radish. So I've spaced them quite well for that. I forgot to mention at the beginning that it rained quite heavily last night. So normally you would always prepare the soil ready for sowing your seeds, and you would make sure it's nice and wet, because if you plant the seeds and then water afterwards, you're going to displace those seeds. So the ground was wet when I first did it. What I'm going to do now is just lightly brush over, and then I'm going to give it a very light sprinkling of water just to bed that down. But when I mean light, I really do mean light. Okay, let's brush these seeds in. Brush them in. That makes it sound like they're going to be going all over the place. But no, they're just being covered. Their holes are just literally being covered by the loose soil. Okay, so that's 2/3 of the that's 2/3 of the bed done. I've just got the far side. Now I can't put too much in there because I have just planted in some more beans, some runner beans to run up over the trellis. So I don't want anything that's really going to disturb them or pull on their nutrients at the moment. But I think I've still got room to put a few in, so I'm going to go and do that now. Okay, well, succession planting in this boat for 2020. This is my own personal blog here. This boat, this is the brown boat, not the green boat, and this boat had white tomatoes that end, zebra tomatoes that end, peppers in the middle. It started off in the at the beginning of the year with last year's garlic. So garlic came out of here first, then the tomatoes went in, but then the tomatoes were taken by blight. Most of the tomatoes were taken by blight. So then we've taken those out and we've put spring onions down the middle and radishes down the outside. Now the radishes should come up and be harvested pretty quickly as seasons go. And then I'll be able to replace that with more garlic for next year, come about October. I've still got a few lettuces down the bottom that I am harvesting. Either if they've blown, I'm harvesting them for the goats and the chickens, and if they have, if they're still going nicely, which I've got a few in there which are still going nicely, then I'm just pinching off the leaves, cut and grow again method. We have a wonky pepper on there, which is a shame. It's been attacked by something or other. Take that for the chickens. We've got melon, has been growing along the front of this boat. It's been very, very slow. I don't know if it's going to go very far. So I've just planted some beans along the back of it. So if the melons don't succeed, I will have beans growing over the arch. Nasturtiums around the outside to keep the bugs at bay, and I'm still harvesting some spring onions that went to bulbs. Just to show you an example. This is what happens when you leave a spring onion in. This is a bulbous spring onion, and I didn't need to harvest it, so I just left it in. I've left a few of my onions and leeks in this year to go to seed. So there we go. This is the brown boat. End of July 2020. Strange video setup, I know, I do apologise, but there you go. Let's catch up later in the year and see how it's done. So until next time, I'm going to say goodbye now. I'm not quite sure when this is going up onto YouTube, but I've realised I've fallen behind in my vlogs, and my July garden tour is coming up. So you'll probably get these more or less the same time. Anyway, say hello. Remember to like the video if you do. And if you want to see more and like what you see, please do press the subscribe button down there and ring the bell if you want your notifications. Take care. Speak soon. Bye.